Next, we are making Isabella's challah.
That is so cool. It's one hell of a recipe, guys. So before we start with our next recipe, I think we need to sanitize our hands because this is so important. Remember guys, keep sanitizing. We're going to keep telling you to do this because it's so important. You got to keep clean. You got to look after yourselves at this time. Kristen, what are we doing next?
Right, next we are making Isabella's challah.
I want you to know that this is quintessential. This is every Jewish person eats this once a week on a Friday night. It is incredible. And I know that if you learn how to make this recipe, you are going to have such a skill in your home because it is divine. And the things you can make with challah are just incredible. So, Kristen, how do you want to start with this?
Right, let's first start by adding 3 cups. What I'm going to do is actually halve the recipe for this.
Okay, so you're halving the recipe. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so we got 3 cups of flour.
3 cups of flour. This is for a regular Friday night Shabbat. And last night I had Isabella's challah.
Really?
Yep, it is divine.
It is.
My favorite thing to have just plainly that you don't have to make on challah is schmaltz. If you don't know what schmaltz is, it's a wonderful word. But schmaltz is actually vegetable or chicken fat. You know, like when a baby's born and it's got like fat little legs, that's also schmaltzy. Okay, so you got to know the words, you got to know the terminology. But challah with schmaltz is just wonderful. Okay, am I going to get my hands dirty?
You're going to get your hands dirty.
Okay, guys, usually I'd say don't try this at home, but wrong, try this at home. Okay, boys, you're going to get your hands dirty here.
You might want to take your ring off for this one.
Okay, apologies to my wife. I'm taking my ring off only for this recipe. It will come straight back on afterwards. For those of you who have now started watching and you see that I don't have a ring on my finger, I'm married, okay?
Right, so what you're going to do is make a well.
Make a well?
In the flour.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
So what you just make a little...
I'm making a little well.
There we go.
Very biblical to make a well, don't you think? Jacob's well was quite a famous little well. Aden's little challah well is going to be quite a famous little well.
So you can add the
water.
That is warm water. What's important to realize here is that you don't want to use boiling water.
Okay.
What that will do is...
Have I just messed this up?
It will be fine, don't worry.
All right.
Make your well a little larger.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, you can continue adding your water there.
Okay, well, thank you for adding my water.
Okay, and then you can add the yeast.
It's the yeast I could do.
Okay, as I was saying, hot water deactivates the yeast.
Okay, nice. Okay,
so what you need to remember is lukewarm water. Okay, what lukewarm water is actually activate the yeast. So anything that's, you know, you want it to remain between about 37, 38 degrees. So it just creates a nice warm environment for the yeast to activate.
Do you know what's so incredible? Sorry to like interrupt here, but yeast is so often compared to sin. And because yeast goes into things and it like puffs up and makes us proud, you know? Isn't it amazing that it takes lukewarm water to activate the yeast? I just thought about that now.
Yeah.
And that was for free, guys. That was for free. All right, next.
Right. So we're going to add a little bit of the sugar because the sugar...
I'm just going to keep that egg under control.
Because the sugar also helps the yeast to activate.
Wonderful.
Okay, it adds energy. You know how you add sugar to a child, suddenly they get energy?
All of us, absolutely.
Same process.
Awesome.
Okay, so what you can do there is just stir that together.
Can I now?
No, just...
Oh, just the little well?
Just the little well.
Oh, okay. I'm stirring the little well.
Okay, so you just want to combine that until the yeast is nicely combined with the water
I'm going to try my best with my little finger.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
So now we're going to leave that for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And just now we'll see that we'll see it activating.
Cool. Well, while that's busy activating, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Isabella, because this is a challah recipe. And Isabella's my niece, my sister's firstborn. and she's just a delight. Her challah is an incredible recipe, but this little girl can bake. It's so funny. She's all grown up, Kristen. She's 20 years old now. She's driving. She's at university. She's such a bright kid. But I can't help but only know her as the little girl who wore a pink tutu on her second birthday party. And she had this little chubby belly, and it was just divine. And we call her Yaya. So I love the fact that she's 20 years old and I'm using her recipe to preserve Jewish culture, to keep our heritage going, and to teach people how to make wonderful bread. So Isabella makes challah for her family every single Friday night. She makes 2, and the reason we make 2 challahs is because the Jewish people, when they were in the desert, they were told to collect manna. But on the Sabbath, they were told to collect a double portion so that they didn't have to work on the Sabbath. So they got a double portion of manna before the Sabbath, and that's the representation of the two challahs, of the 2 breads. And what's interesting is that the bread, or the manna that was a double portion, was originally God's provision. And so I always am reminded whenever I eat this, it always seems to me like it's just a symbol of God's provision, which is just beautiful. And the blessing that you make over a challah, for those of you who don't know, sounds like this: Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And that means, blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brought forth bread from the earth. It's just so fitting that you should thank a creator for something so wonderful. How are we doing with our recipe?
We are doing well. You can see the yeast has started to get foamy.
Okay.
Which is great.
Oh, so it needs to get foamy?
Yes.
Like a cappuccino?
That's right.
Okay, very nice.
Okay, I think we're ready to add the rest of the ingredients.
Okay,
so
fantastic.
We can just set that aside for a couple minutes and continue.
All right, so we're going to set that aside for a couple of minutes. Do you mind while I just wash my fingers?
That's perfect.
Cool.
Great. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to beat this egg together, and we can add the oil to that mixture.
Awesome.
So we're just going to beat that. Okay, so these are your next ingredients to add to there.
So we've got beaten egg, sugar, salt.
Salt.
Cool.
Perfect. And that is all the ingredients in the recipe.
Wow, that's so simple.
So simple. It's
yes,
amazing.
Absolutely. Should I start adding them, or is it a bit too... Okay, I'm going to add it into my well.
Into the well.
Okay, so I'm pouring the egg into the well. I'm pouring the sugar into the well. And then I'm pouring the salt into the well. Guys, if I can do this, you can do this. All right?
Right, now you're going to get in there.
Okay. Here we go. I'm going to mix this all in together. Wow, that is very interesting, Kristen. I don't know if I'm loving this or if I'm not loving this, but it's quite interesting. I feel like I could plaster a house.
Yes. Or plaster wallpaper.
Absolutely. It's very sticky, very glue. Is it supposed to be sticky and glue-like?
Okay. So once the dough is formed, we'll have a look. And if we feel that it's sticky, then we add more flour to it.
Awesome.
Okay.
And then just for my wife, if she's watching, your husband's making dough, babe. Okay, so I'm battling to get this off my hands. Okay. Do I need to add anything else, or is it my technique? We're going to add some more flour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you very much. Yes, that instantly feels better.
Better.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
So this is just a feel thing.
Yes.
If you're feeling uncomfortable and it's very sticky, you add flour until it's, I mean, you don't want a very, very, very stiff dough, but you know.
Will more flour make the dough stiff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so how do I know when I've done this enough?
Okay.
Like, do you need to stop?
With remember, you're activating your yeast as well, so you're combining it in. And what you're doing by kneading is actually making your gluten stretch. So you're developing your gluten as you need.
Am I stretching my glutes? I am from Joburg, but really. Okay, cool. You know, it's funny. The more you do things yourself, the more you take your hat off to those that actually do them all the time. So Isabella, darling, well done. I can't believe you do this all the time. That's really, really cool. And to all the Yiddish mamas that make this week in and week out, I take my hat off to you. Literally, I'm not wearing one. I take it off to you. And this is fantastic. So now, when do I stop, Kristen?
Okay, so let's just, there we go. That's perfect. So what is possible is to do it in a processor with a dough hook. Okay. But sometimes people don't have that type of equipment in their homes. And we don't want them to feel that this isn't a possibility.
Right.
So what we're showing now is that anyone with a surface can make challah.
Okay, very cool. I love that, Kristen. Well done for doing that, because not everybody has a food processor, not everybody has the tools, and we are kitchen bound during this COVID-19. So you got to do with what you have.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to generously flour a surface.
Okay.
Okay, you can pop that dough there. Kneading is a process of folding, okay?
All right.
So you fold, fold, fold. And
you just fold the whole time.
Continue folding.
All right. So, Kristen, do you know that when I took you guys to Israel last year,
yes,
which was incredible, by the way, the house that you stayed in was on a road called Beit Lechem Road, which means the house of bread. Right. So what's really cool about that is that Bethlehem, Beit Lechem, is actually the birthplace of where the Messiah would have to be born. So house of bread, it's all very biblical. It's got a lot of connotation to redemption and Messiah and God's provision, which is really just incredible and amazing that he wants us to eat this once a week, which is just beautiful. Yeah. So now, how do you know when you've kneaded it enough?
Okay. A good indication is create a little ball like that, and you take a sharp knife and you slice the top of the bread. If it opens, you know that the gluten has developed.
Stretched. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so that hasn't stretched enough.
That hasn't stretched enough. So let's do it, knead it a little bit more.
Okay, so do you think you've kneaded it enough?
Right, let's have a look.
Remember, Kristen taught us how to check if the dough is ready.
So we take our sharp knife and slice it through. And then it slowly opens up. There we go.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Wonderful.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to pop this into an oiled bowl and allow it to rise in a warm place.
Awesome. So what have we got here?
We can see that the dough has risen beautifully. It's
awesome.
Double in size at least, so that's great.
It's kind of like my eating habits. When I come to Cape Town for a couple of weeks, I also double in size. Before we get going, should we sanitize?
Yes, let's do that.
Awesome.
There we go.
All right, so now that the dough has risen, what is our next step?
Okay, now we're going to plait the dough.
Oh, fantastic.
Traditionally, challah is always plaited.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do.
Well, it is. It's plaited bread, right?
We're going to do a 5-strand plait.
Nice.
Because it's just a beautiful plait.
Fantastic. sensational.
That's beautiful.
That really
Right.
is pretty. Wow.
Right, we're going to pop this into the oven and leave it in there for about 20-25 minutes. We'll keep an eye on it, and that should be that.
Stunning.
There we go.
Great job. So
Yeah.
excited to wash my hands for this.
Absolutely. The aroma from this challah
Is
incredible.
sensational.
Yeah.
So let me tell you how it works in Jewish culture and Jewish religion is that before you're going to eat bread, before you can eat things like challah, you go and you wash your hands. So what we did was pretty close.
Great.
And you say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, and then you end with Al Natilat Yadayim, which is the washing of the hands. So what I want to now do is tell you why we do that. So in the Old Testament, you will see that God gave the Jewish people all sorts of principles for actually keeping hygiene and keeping clean.
Mm-hmm.
And these are very good things to keep for this day, which is washing your hands always before you eat. But you're not allowed to say a word when you've washed your hands until somebody makes the blessing over the bread.
Okay.
And in that time, everybody is just literally chalishing to have the challah bread, okay?
Yeah.
So once you've said the blessing and the dad, he'll cut through the bread and give it out to everybody. Everybody breathes a sigh of relief and then they can talk. Because as you know, we love to talk. But without further ado,
Let's
ladies and
break
gentlemen,
this
my
bread.
goodness, I'm cutting it down the middle.
perfect.
Oh, I wish you could feel what I'm feeling. That is
Beautiful.
beautiful. I'm gonna have a little taste of this. The custom is actually to sprinkle a little bit of salt.
Mhm. Okay.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Oh man. Oh man. That is so good.
Very, very good.
I'm not gonna dance again. But I want you to say, I just want to say to everybody, this is so versatile because you can make challah French toast with this. You can make
Yes.
just challah toast with this. You can eat it as it is with schmaltz, with any kind of topping. And what I'm going to say now is, viewers, send in your ideas of what you could do with challah bread. Send in your comments of what you do with challah bread. And what we can do is then encourage each other and give each other really cool ideas what to do while we're stuck at home
Exactly.
with nothing but a sensational loaf of bread. Kristen,
Brilliant.
this is stunning.
It is. It's. Thank you, Isabella. What a beautiful recipe. It's
Absolutely. Thank you, Yaya. Thank you for teaching us how to make this. And thank you, Kristen, for knowing how to make it. And thank you for letting me get my hands dirty.
great. You're welcome.
Shabbat shalom.